Hi, I'm Mark, and this is Spatial Report. Hi there, and welcome to the show. Let's begin with some news. So I'm moving to another team at Esri Canada. I've accepted a position with the Community Map of Canada program, and I'm really excited to join this group and promote the authoritative base map for this country for all our users. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But alas, with this change, along with some other circumstances, the decision was made to discontinue this podcast. So with a cold heart, I'm here to announce that this is indeed our last Spatial Report. Don't start now with any tears. This is real and not an illusion, and it is indeed an end of an era. And honestly, I will admit, this does break my heart. But overall, we're good. As a parting thought, I do want to spend a moment handing out some flowers. So first and foremost, thanks to all of you, our listeners and viewers over the last 2 years. We appreciate you spending a few minutes of your day partaking in our silly little podcast. Your curiosity for geospatial technology brought the electricity to every show. Props to all the supporters of the podcast within Esri Canada. You know who you are. Your positive vibes made us hallucinate with joy. And a special shout out to all of the guests that we've had on the show, levitating our podcast with your passion and knowledge of GIS. One kiss, actually 2 kisses, for the 2 OGs who poured their hearts and souls into this crazy little project from day one. Maggie Sampson and Mike Boone, aka Toronto Mike, our producer. You both made Spatial Report special. And I'm seriously happy for you that you don't have to listen to any more of my bloopers. Finally, I got some new rules for you. You must subscribe to the Geographical Thinking podcast, where they will cover more technical information in the future. Keep listening, pretty please. Training season is definitely not over. Well, that's it. But before we go Houdini, we don't want to leave you empty-handed. So here are a couple of pre-recorded interviews featuring my cool pal and friend of the pod, Alison O'Brien. We're going to talk about ArcGIS Monitor and ArcGIS Solutions. Thanks, Alison, for tag teaming. You will always be the one. So for the last time, let's share some GIS love again. We're going to blow your mind. Mwah! Until we meet down the road, dance the night, and happy mapping. So Derek Law, hey, welcome back to Spatial Report.
Hey, nice to see you guys, and thanks for having me.
Oh, no, it's awesome to have you here because we know you got a lot of information to share. We'll do that in a couple of seconds. But first, give us a little explanation about what you do at Esri.
Sure. So I work at Esri Inc. in Redlands, California, and I work as a product manager with the ArcGIS Monitor team. And my job really is to talk to customers, collect feedback about Monitor, and really try to get information and feedback to make the product better.
Lovely, lovely. So, Derek, what exactly is ArcGIS Monitor?
Sure. So ArcGIS Monitor is an extension product to ArcGIS Enterprise. So if you're an administrator or a manager of ArcGIS Enterprise, it is a product for you. What it does is it collects metrics on the system health, performance, and usage of ArcGIS Enterprise to help you optimize your enterprise deployment. I always tell new users, think of it like using the car analogy. Let's say you have a vehicle or a truck or an EV, and you want to make sure it's performing really well and extend its longevity. Well, you would take it into the garage for service, right? You would apply a tune-up, apply service maintenance, rotate the tires. Well, that's what Monitor does for your ArcGIS Enterprise deployment.
Right, and that makes a lot of sense to be able to have that maintenance component to Enterprise because it is an ongoing machine. So, yeah, I could definitely see the benefits of that. So maybe get into more detail about what some of the value is that the Monitor brings to our users.
Sure. At the end of the day, when you use ArcGIS Monitor with ArcGIS Enterprise, you are optimizing the system, so you're proactively managing it. In other words, Monitor gives you tools to set up alerts so you can address tiny issues before they escalate into bigger problems. And this is called proactive management. And by doing this, hopefully, if you administer your site effectively, you will minimize or reduce system downtime. And at the end of the day, this is great because as long as your system is performing, then it's not down. You're ultimately saving on operational costs. So it helps you save money on operational costs.
Amazing. Everyone should be doing that proactive management there. So, we know that there's a new release coming up. What are some of the major enhancements?
Yeah, super excited to talk about ArcGIS Monitor 2024.1. It's coming out at the end of January 2025. And, it's got some pretty exciting features. The big one, of course, is we will now support registering and collecting metrics on the ArcGIS relational data store. And this is huge because really this completes the stack, right? We collect metrics on Enterprise Portal, ArcGIS server sites, and now the ArcGIS relational data store. Um, the other thing, of course, is we have another enhancement where many customers have asked for the ability to export an analysis view. So that's the reporting in Monitor. You can export it out as a JSON file and then import it into a different Monitor instance. This will be useful. So as the team creates some analysis views for reports, we'll be able to make them available to share with our customers. And the other enhancement, I guess, is we have two new element types. One is called table, one is called rich text. And as the name would imply, the first element you can show tabular data inside an analysis view. And for the other one, you can kind of input more text content into your analysis views to make them more useful or readable for end users.
Yeah, those are really big enhancements, especially the registration of to the data store. That sounds like something that's going to be very significant for users. So
Yeah.
that's a huge development, and I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to that. I'm sure there's some other sort of enhancements that are kind of in the back of your mind. So, do you have any additional enhancements you'd like to mention?
There's only a few others. One is we now support this check service custom observer. Users can turn this on for registered web services. And basically, you can do some testing, right? You can send an HTTP request to the service and collect information on like the response time, the response size, and also, just check if it's up and running. We've also added some enhancements to email notifications. So when an alert triggers, then you fire a notification email. We want to make it more informative. So if you're an admin checking on your phone, it'll tell you like, hey, what's the cause of the event trigger to kind of give you more information. And then the other big news is that starting with ArcGIS Enterprise 11.4, you can now take the web adapter and register it with ArcGIS Monitor 2024.1. What this means is if you want to have a reverse proxy deployment, you can set it up with the ArcGIS Web Adapter 11.4 so that your users to ArcGIS Monitor can, log into the web adapter first and then get redirected to ArcGIS Monitor. This is really basically for, more secure deployments.
Those are some great updates. I'm very excited for them. So, before we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to share or promote?
I would encourage customers who are interested in learning about ArcGIS Monitor to go to Esri.com and go to the product page. We have maybe a dozen or so customer success stories, ArcGIS-based deployments of ArcGIS Enterprise to mid-size like utilities, gas, electric, water, to large global enterprise deployments. And the last thing I want to promote is we have our second ArcGIS Monitor user group meeting scheduled for March 5th. So I encourage you to register and watch the session where we'll have two customers, Forsyth County in Georgia and the state of Arizona Department of Environmental Quality. And they're going to talk about, these are real customers, they'll talk about how they are using Monitor to support their workflows and how it's made their lives easier as they manage their ArcGIS Enterprise deployments.
So, thanks so much for joining us, Derek. We're really happy to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me and allowing me to talk about ArcGIS Monitor. If you're an enterprise customer, I encourage you to use it. It's a good best practice, especially in light of the fact that last year we released the well architected framework site, and observability is a key piece of managing your enterprise GIS. And of course, ArcGIS Monitor supports that observability requirement.
That's great. That's great. Thanks, Derek. So that was Derek Law. He works for the ArcGIS Monitor team with Esri Inc., and he joined us from Redlands, California.
navigating everyday obstacles to tackling the most pressing issues facing our world today. Tune in to Geographical Thinking to discover how geospatial solutions can help solve problems and drive positive change. My name is Michelle Brake, and I'll be your guide as we explore stories, ideas, and conversations through the lens of geography. Listen and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform.
So I'm pleased to welcome Janis Lapointe to the podcast. Janis, welcome to Spatial Report. How are you?
Hi, Alison. I'm good. You?
Good. I'm good, thanks. We're so happy to speak with you today. So let's start off by getting you to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what you do at Esri Canada.
So my name is Janis Lapointe. I work as a technical solutions specialist for Esri Canada. I live in Quebec City, and so I work with the Quebec region. Mostly what I do is I help our team and our clients with technical-oriented requests, demos, presentation, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Excellent. Yes. And I know you did a presentation for us about ArcGIS Solutions and how you started working with those. So why don't you kind of give us a little heads up about how you got started working with ArcGIS Solutions?
Yeah, so I started exploring and working with the solutions for a presentation that me and my colleague were doing at a conference here in Quebec last October. And we knew the solutions were a quick way to get started with different ArcGIS components, and that there was like a lot of different workflows that you could do with those solutions because there are almost 150 of them available. And we wanted to address asset management and fieldwork workflows, mostly in a municipal context for this conference. And we also did not want to spend several days configuring apps, maps, and forms for only a 20-minute presentation. So we chose to deploy and showcase the tree management solution while making just a few edits to some of the components.
Nice, nice. So tree management solution, what does it do? I'm really curious.
Yeah, so the tree management solution is meant mostly to create an inventory of publicly owned trees. It's also meant to help streamline some of the like inspection and maintenance activities regarding those trees. It That's just like one of a few of the things it can do. Like a lot of other solutions, it can also it has components to inform the public, for example, through, inform and engage, let's say. It has components like web maps, web apps that can just present a visual for the public to see, like, where are the trees, how are they, what's their condition. And for forms also to report maybe issues that they see in their neighborhoods or on their way to work or whatever. And the one thing I could also mention is that there are, for example, a lot of dashboard visuals in the solution to help with team leads or decision makers get an overview of like the condition of the assets, in this case, the trees. So overall, it's meant to really help with efficiently managing tree assets and potentially planning actions and improvements to these assets. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds like it's a lot, but hopefully it wasn't too bad in terms of putting everything together and inserting data. So I'm sure that's a solution that I really am curious to learn more about. But I also understand that you also work with another ArcGIS solution called roadway management. So can you tell us a little bit more about what that particular solution does?
Yeah, so it's very similar to the tree management solution in the sense that it has the same objective. It helps you create an inventory of publicly owned roads.
Mhm.
um, so same thing, it can help streamline inspection and maintenances. For example, if you want to do routine pavement inspections, like that solution helps you achieve that. And I won't get too much into the details because in the end it's a bit of the same than the tree management. But I specifically used it to demo pavement markings field activities. So That's one thing you could do with it, but only one of many. It includes a bit of different components. For example, in that one, you have a quick capture app, which is a field app with like big buttons. So it's super easy to fill out once you're in the field. You just click on the buttons, and you can record like a line or something that like the crews would go over with. So super interesting. Yeah.
That's great. I'm sure a lot of our users are interested in how they can access those solutions, right? So can you let us know how they can get them and like what they typically include?
Yeah, so the you can access the solutions through the app launcher, either in your ArcGIS Online landing page or ArcGIS Enterprise if that's what you use. I will just say that for ArcGIS Enterprise, it starts at 10.9. So if you have anything under that, you won't see the solutions in your app launcher. So once you click on that and you are now on the ArcGIS Solutions page and you get different cards for each solution, and you can scroll through them, you can filter them by activities or search for keywords. Once you click on a specific one, you'll get a bit more information. So you'll get the full description, you'll see the components list, you'll also get a little video or some slides explaining it in detail. And if you feel like the solution is good for you, you can just click on the deploy button and it will deploy in your portal, either ArcGIS Online or Enterprise, in a specific folder. And from there, you can access the different components. You can modify them or work on them. And typically, what they would include in those components are the feature layers for your data. And then you would get web maps that would include these feature layers and web apps that would include these maps and different visuals like dashboards. One thing you might also get are different forms or apps for field work, like quick capture I mentioned, maybe survey 123, and maybe field maps apps. Well, not it's just a map, but yeah. Um, One more thing is that you might get with it a desktop project template for ArcGIS Pro, so you can do a bit more work, a bit more advanced work. Yeah, but it can really vary depending on which solutions. Yeah.
Right. I think that's the key point. Depending on the solution that you select, you could get a whole bunch of different things. So
Mm-hmm.
it really is dependent on what you choose. Um, so, Janis, we're just about to wrap things up, but we really do appreciate you kind of introducing us to a couple of these solutions. And I know as you're working through them, you're kind of going in the back of your mind, what are some of the key benefits to all this? So, to wrap things up, maybe share some of the benefits of using ArcGIS Solutions.
Yeah, so really the main benefit of using the solutions is that it's going to save you a lot of time and resources in configuring different GIS resources for yourself or for your team. So I've thought of two different scenarios to like maybe image how it can help you. So scenario one, let's say you're very knowledgeable in and skilled in GIS. So you could theoretically build anything you want. You don't really need the solutions to help you do that. But even if you're an expert in GIS, you might want to get a project good to go like quickly without having to spend days configuring data and apps. In that case, ArcGIS Solutions is the perfect way to achieve this. So even if you feel like the solution isn't perfect and that you need to configure it a bit differently, you can definitely customize it without starting from scratch completely. Just change a few of the settings in the different components. And since that's one scenario, and let's say you're not an expert in GIS, I feel like the solution is even more helpful because if you don't really know where to start or like what's available in ArcGIS Online, once you deploy the solution, you can just take your time to go through the different components and explore that and familiarize yourself with them, and they're already configured. So there is there's not a lot of work to do starting from there, except just explore them and add data to it eventually. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, as you know from this podcast, we love talking about ArcGIS Solutions. So I'm so glad that you're able to join us today to kind of share your experience with it. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you very much. That was Janis Lapointe. She is the Technical Solutions Specialist with the Quebec region, and she joined us today from Quebec City. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Spatial Report. Please check out our website at esri.ca/spatial report to learn more about the topics we covered today. We also post videos of our interview segments on the Esri Canada YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe to our monthly Getting Technical newsletter that highlights all the latest news in our technology. This podcast is brought to you by Esri Canada, a technology company that empowers people and organizations by the science of where. Bye!